Out in the wild, survival often depends on strength, on instinct, on speed, on knowing when to fight and when to run. But sometimes, survival depends on something far more unexpected. Sometimes even the fiercest creatures on Earth reach a point where strength is no longer enough. And when that moment comes, the choices they make can be almost impossible to believe. This is the story of a lioness, a wounded mother, a trapped cub, and the day she did something no one in the village would ever forget. Because instead of attacking, instead of hiding, instead of disappearing into the grasslands, this lioness came to humans for help. On the edge of the vast African savannah stood a small village called Nerith. It was a place balanced between two worlds. On one side, there were homes built from mud brick, fenced goat pens, cooking fires, and the familiar rhythm of village life. On the other, there was the wild. Open grasslands stretching to the horizon, acacia trees bending in the wind, rocky ridges, dry riverbeds, and hidden among all of it, animals that could inspire both wonder and fear. The people of Nerith had lived beside that wild land for generations. They knew its beauty, but they also knew its dangers. Lions sometimes came too close in the dry season. Hyenas stole goats. Elephants crossed the fields when food was scarce. Still, the elders often said the same thing. The land was older than any village, and human beings were only guests upon it. One man in Nerith understood that better than most. His name was Malik. He was 29 years old, quiet, hard-working, and careful by nature. He lived with his mother and younger sister at the very edge of the village, where the cultivated land ended and the open plains began. Every morning before sunrise, Malik followed the same routine. He checked the goat pens. He walked the outer fences. He watched for broken thorns, unusual tracks, or signs that something dangerous had passed close to the homes during the night. It was work his father had done before him. And from his father, Malik learned one important lesson above all others: never panic. Because in the wild, panic could kill faster than claws. On the morning this story began, Malik stepped out before dawn as usual. The air was cool. The sky was dark blue, with the first faint line of orange appearing in the east. The village was still half asleep, but the land beyond it was already beginning to speak. As Malik moved toward the boundary of the fields, he noticed something unusual. A flock of small birds burst suddenly from the grass and flew off in a tight, nervous wave. Not the calm flight of a normal morning. Something had disturbed them. Malik stopped immediately. He listened. At first there was nothing, only wind in the grass, a distant creak of wood from the village water wheel, the soft sound of animals shifting inside their pens. Then he saw movement near a cluster of low bushes at the edge of the open plains. At first he thought it might be a dog. Then the shape rose from the grass, and Malik froze. It was a lioness. She stood there in the pale morning light, maybe 50 yards away from him, thin, dusty, breathing hard. Even from that distance, Malik could see something was wrong. Her body looked strained, her movements were uneven, and when she shifted her weight, he saw blood along one side of her flank. For one long moment, neither of them moved. Then the lioness took a slow step toward him. Malik's hand tightened around his wooden staff. Every instinct warned him not to run, not to turn, not to make the wrong move. But then the lioness stopped again. She did not lower herself into a hunting crouch. She did not circle. She did not prepare to charge. Instead, she simply stared at him, not with the cold focus of a predator about to strike, but with something stranger, something desperate. Then she made a low sound, a rough, broken rumble from deep in her chest, and after that, she turned her head toward the open grasslands behind her, then looked back at Malik. She took a few limping steps away, stopped, and looked back again. By then, Malik had called out toward the houses behind him. Within seconds, men from nearby homes emerged carrying sticks and tools. His mother came to the doorway, fear already written across her face. Inside moments, several villagers had gathered. Everyone saw the same thing. An injured lioness standing near the edge of Nereth, not attacking, not fleeing, but waiting. One of the men, Harun, raised his stick and said she had to be driven away, but Malik stopped him because something about her behavior did not fit. This was not the movement of a lioness stalking prey. This was not the movement of an animal defending territory. Again, she moved a little further away. Again, she stopped. Again, she looked back, as if asking a question, or giving an instruction, or begging. Malik stared at her, and slowly a chilling thought entered his mind. She wanted them to follow her. The others dismissed the idea at first. How could a lioness lead humans anywhere without deadly intention? But Malik kept watching. Blood marked her side. One of her paws seemed injured, and still she remained near enough to be seen, far enough not to attack, and always turning back. There was purpose in it, and that purpose felt urgent. His mother begged him not to go. The other men called it madness, but Malik made his choice. If the lioness truly wanted help, there was only one reason a mother like that would risk approaching a human village: a cub. Something had happened to one of her cubs. So Malik stepped beyond the last thorn fence of Nereth, and against all reason, he followed the lioness into the wild. 3 other villagers went with him: Harun, Karim, and Sami, not because they fully believed him, but because no one wanted to let him walk into danger alone. And so, under the growing light of sunrise, the strangest procession imaginable crossed the savannah. An injured lioness in front, 4 frightened men behind her. The journey lasted nearly half an hour. The lioness moved steadily, though every few steps she limped and faltered. Still, she forced herself onward. She crossed through tall grass, past thorn scrub, and toward a dry wash lined with broken rocks and tangled bushes. And then she stopped. Beside a dense patch of thorn branches, she gave a low, pained call. And from inside the brush came the answer, a cub's cry, small, weak, desperate. Malik's heart dropped. He moved closer, carefully parting the outer thorns with his staff. And there, hidden inside the brush, he saw them, 2 cubs. One was free, but trembling and exhausted. The other was trapped. A section of dry earth and thorn branches had collapsed, and a heavy flat rock had pinned the cub's hind leg beneath it. The cub was dusty, frightened, and too weak to struggle properly anymore. That was when Malik finally understood the full truth. The lioness had not come to the village because she wanted food. She had not come because she had lost her fear of people. She had come because she had run out of options. Her cub was trapped. Herself was injured, and alone she could not save it. So she had done the impossible.
She had gone to the one place every wild lion is supposed to avoid, to humans. Even then, no one moved at first, because now the danger felt even more real. The lioness was wounded and exhausted, but still fully capable of killing if panic or instinct took over. Yet all of her attention remained fixed on the trapped cub. She did not lunge, she did not roar, she simply waited, as if everything now depended on what the humans would do next. Malik made the decision. They would help. Carefully, he and Kareem began removing the outer thorn branches one by one. Haroon muttered prayers under his breath. Sami stood ready with rope and a rusted shovel. Every movement felt dangerous. Every sound from the cub made the lioness.
And every time the trapped cub cried out, the lioness answered with a low rumble of distress. The second cub stayed close to its mother, pressing itself against her body. As more debris was cleared away, the real problem became visible. A flat rock had jammed against the trapped cub's hind leg. If they pulled too hard, the leg could break. If they shifted the wrong way, the rock might crush it further. So Malik and Kareem used the old shovel and a wooden branch as a lever. They pushed. The rock lifted slightly. The cub screamed, and at once the lioness rose with a raw, terrifying snarl. Every man froze. For 1 second, it seemed the moment would collapse into violence.
I've got you.
But the lioness, already at the edge of her strength, staggered, then dropped back down again, eyes burning, body trembling. This was their only chance. Again, the men forced the lever beneath the rock. Again, they pushed. And this time, when the gap opened, Malik reached in, grabbed the cub carefully by the shoulders and scruff, and pulled it free. The branch snapped. The rock slammed down into the empty hollow. Dust exploded into the air, and the lioness roared. Malik fell back with the cub in his arms. The lioness rose and limped toward him. Haroon thought they were all about to die. But Malik did something he would later struggle to explain, even to himself. He knelt down and gently placed the cub on the ground between them. The lioness came forward, stopped, lowered her head, and touched the cub with her nose. The little animal gave a weak cry and tried to stand, but its injured leg buckled. The lioness licked its face once, then again. Then she lifted her eyes to Malik, and in that silent moment, no one in Nerith would ever again describe what they saw in quite the same way. Some called it gratitude, some called it recognition, some said it was simply instinct and relief. Whatever it was real enough to leave them speechless. Because the lioness did not attack. She looked at the man who had freed her cub, and she held his gaze. But the story was not over. As Malik stepped back, he noticed something else along the lioness's body. Partially hidden beneath blood and dust was a strip of wire cutting into her side. A snare. She had come for help while injured not only by exhaustion and struggle, but by human cruelty. Now the situation was even urgent. The cub needed treatment, the lioness needed treatment, and neither would survive long without it. A villager was sent running back towards Nerith to call wildlife officers. The rest stayed where they were, keeping their distance while the lioness gathered both cubs close and waited. What happened next took hours. The sun climbed, flies gathered, vultures circled low overhead. Malik pushed water toward the cubs with the end of his staff while the lioness watched in tense silence. At last, shortly before midday, the wildlife team arrived, and even experienced rangers were stunned by what they found. An injured lioness, 2 cubs, and a group of villagers standing nearby because somehow the lioness had chosen not to turn them into enemies. A tranquilizer dart was prepared. The lioness was sedated safely. Then the rescue finally began in full. The wire snare had torn deep into her flank. Her paw was injured. The trapped cub's leg was swollen badly, but by some miracle not broken. The other cub was weak and dehydrated. All three needed immediate care. And so the lioness and her cubs were loaded into transport crates and taken to the reserve clinic. Malik went with them, because after everything he had seen, he could not simply return home and pretend this was over. At the clinic, the real fight for survival began. The lioness was treated first. Her wounds were cleaned, the snare damage was stitched, infection was monitored, medication was given. Nearby, the cubs were warmed, hydrated, and fed carefully. For a while, no one knew if the mother would survive. Her fever rose, her body weakened, and there were moments when even the staff grew quiet with concern. But the cubs kept calling, softly at first, then louder. And after one long, difficult night, the lioness opened her eyes. She heard them. And from that point on, the hope inside the clinic began to grow. The cubs improved quickly. The trapped cub's leg, though badly bruised, slowly regained strength. The other cub became more active by the day. The lioness took longer, but she stood, then walked, then answered the cubs with a low sound that rolled through her chest like distant thunder. And when the first controlled reunion happened through a barrier, the entire staff was silent. The cubs rushed toward her scent instantly. The lioness pressed her muzzle to the barrier and called to them. It was not human emotion, not a staged moment, not a fantasy. It was something simpler and more powerful. A mother recognizing the lives she had crossed impossible boundaries to save. As the days passed, the family healed. The lioness regained her strength. The cubs grew playful again. The injured leg improved, and each day Malik visited. He never tried to approach too close. He never forgot that what stood behind that fence was still wild. But the lioness always noticed him. There was no tameness there, no softness, only memory. A memory that seemed to remain between them like an invisible thread. And after several weeks, the day finally came that everyone had hoped for. Release day. Before dawn, the lioness and her cubs were loaded into transport crates and taken back into protected land far from villages and cleared of snare lines. The sky was still blue-gray when the truck stopped in an open stretch of grassland near a seasonal river. The cub crate opened first. The two cubs stumbled out into the fresh morning light, blinking, alive, stronger now. Then the lioness stepped out. She paused in the dawn, breathing the wind, reading the land. The cubs pressed close to her side, and before leading them away, she turned towards Malik. He stood at a distance, silent, still. The lioness held his gaze for one final moment. Then she turned back to her cubs, gave a low call, and walked forward into the grass. The cubs followed beside her, and together, slowly, they disappeared into the gold of the waking savannah. That would have been enough. Enough for a story, enough for a memory, enough for the people of Nereth to speak of the day a lioness asked humans for help. But months later, the final proof arrived. Wildlife officers found the family again near an eastern river corridor. The lioness was healthy, scarred but strong, and the cubs were alive. Larger now, confident, playing in the shade while their mother watched over them. When Malik saw them from a distant ridge through binoculars, he said very little. There was nothing left to explain. They had survived. The impossible choice the lioness had made was worth it. And from that day on, the people of Nereth told the story again and again. Some believed every word, some doubted it, but Malik never argued. He would only say one thing. She did not come because she trusted humans. She came because she loved her cub. And in the end,
That was enough to change everything. Nature is often described as brutal, and sometimes it is. It is hunger, it is struggle, it is claws, blood, dust, and survival. But sometimes the most brutal thing in nature is not the wild itself. Sometimes it's what humans leave behind. Steel traps, wire snares, cruelty hidden in silence. And stories like this remind us of something important. The wild does not need more fear from us. It does not need more greed placed in its path. It needs space, respect, protection. Because out there, beyond the fences and fires of human life, the bonds that hold families together are just as fierce as any predator's jaws. And somewhere in that same savannah, under the same burning sun, a lioness still walks with the cub she refused to lose. Alive because she made an impossible choice. Alive because humans listened. Alive because for one extraordinary moment, fear stepped aside and mercy answered.